Hello everyone, good morning. It is Kayla and I have received so much great feedback on wanting a tutorial for this image, so that is what I'm doing this morning. I've got my cup of coffee sitting next to me. The struggle is real. It's been a really busy week, so definitely need this coffee. Does anybody else put hot cocoa in their coffee with creamer? Because ain't nobody got no time to go drive to Starbucks that's like 5 miles away, I'll just make my own coffee. But welcome everybody. Welcome people that are new to my channel, new to my photography page. Hi. Thank you guys for the support. It's been incredible. I've been having so much fun making these videos. I had always wanted to make videos the last couple of years, and I did when I was shooting mainly with my 70 to 200 with the greater than Gatsby actions. But I've realized when I shoot with my 70 to 200, the Visco and the LXC presets don't look as well. I'm not sure why, but every time I've tried to shoot with my 70 to 200 and throw on a Visco preset, it just does not look good. So I think sticking to a prime or having something that has a lower aperture just, makes it work a little bit better. So, all right. So yesterday, this lovely, beautiful couple, I had met, so her name is Lakin, and she is so amazing. And her boyfriend is also, they're just seriously probably one of the most, not only beautiful looking couples, but they're seriously so in love. Like, the way that he looks at her is just, I'll have to post some more photos of their session because, it was just so gorgeous. And yesterday morning, it was rainy and I wouldn't say cold, but it was a little bit chilly. And I thought that was going to be perfect for this shoot. I wanted something dark and moody, just to really emphasize like the romanticness that I wanted to capture between them. And of course, it's Idaho, and Idaho is on its period today, or yesterday, and pretty much the full month of October. So of course, when it was time to shoot, it was sunny. There was barely a breeze. There was no clouds in the sky. I was a little brokenhearted, but I took him to a place where I've never shot before. I've explored it several times. And I knew I needed to find the right couple, and they were definitely the right couple. When you find a couple that you shoot and every single photo you take, it just keeps getting better and better and better. And so this is definitely one of those times where every photo I was taking, it just kept getting better and better and better, and I just, So, yeah, we went off to some canyon just right outside of Boise, and we walked probably like quarter of a mile. Lakin actually, poor thing, she got stung by a bee. The bees were out, so I'm glad she's not allergic or anything like that, but she got stung by a bee, and I had them walk through the mud and all that stuff, but they're incredible. I love working with adventurous couples that are down to do anything. So, yeah, they did incredible. So I shot yesterday with my Nikon D810. Always shoot with that. And I was shooting with my 35mm 1.4. And like I've said before, I've been having such a love-hate relationship with it. And right now I'm in the love stage. I do have the Sigma 85 1.4, but my glass has an imperfection. There's actually a fuzz behind the lens, so I need to send that in. So I've just been using the 35, and guys, I have been loving it. I don't know why I go through. Sometimes I can't even use it, and I have to solely use my 70 to 200. But I think with couples, man, it is beautiful. It's a beautiful lens, and this was one of the times where I was shooting with it and it was on point. Sometimes I can shoot with my 35 at a lower aperture and it'll throw a lot of soft images. I'll do probably one really in focus image, and then the next whatever the word is. The next one's in sequence. That's the word I was looking for. The next one's in sequence can be soft. So with this one, it was perfect. So as you notice, my settings were over here. So I was an ISO 400, shooting at a 1.8, and I had a pretty high shutter speed. And that was, I wanted to really, I don't know what I was wanting. You know, when you just know. Sometimes settings really do help, but I learned as a photographer that not everybody is going to be able to take these settings that I have right here and use them, and, you know, in the same situation, it'll probably look a little different. So you kind of just look at the photo and you decide, oh, I want to make a faster shutter speed or slower shutter speed, and you go from there. So this is my final edit that you guys see on okay, I looked up how to say tribe, and now I'm going to slaughter it again. Archipelago. You guys are probably thinking, like, what crack is she smoking? But I promise you, I actually had somebody really sweet message me, and they were like, this is how you say it. And I'm sure a lot of people, you know, have the same thing. So, Archipelago. I just don't want to get it wrong. So there was this thing on Google where I was looking for where it showed me how to pronounce it. So I'll actually put it up to the mic so you guys can hear too. For the people that don't know how to pronounce it, because, you know. Let's see. Oops. Archipelago. Archipelago. Okay, so tribe archipelago. There we go. Glad we got that straightened out. So if you didn't know how to pronounce it before, now you do. Okay, let's get to the tutorial, because that's what you guys all came here for. So this was our after, and this is the before. So these images are probably, I shot them in, like I said, in sequence, so they're very minimal off. So this one's like a little bit further back, so we'll just edit this one. But this was before, and this was after. And this is using all in Lightroom with Retouch and everything like that. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw on the LXC preset. And immediately I noticed that this is a little too cool for me, so I'm going to bump it up to, I think I had mine at 20, no. I'll have to go back and forth, because I don't want it too yellow. Do I like it there? And like, it's always hard to kind of, you know, re-edit an image that was like that. Let's bump up that green. There we go. I'm thinking about right there. That's perfect. Okay. So then the next thing that I do is I get rid of the grain. I'm not a fan of grain on any of my images, so I always decrease the grain. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is we're going to retouch the skin. And guys, she has pretty flawless skin, but like everybody has, we've all got those little tiny bumps that we can't get rid of and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the spot healing tool, or excuse me, that spot healing tool is in Photoshop. I'm going to use the heal tool in Lightroom. And also, I was shooting at a 1.8, so that also helps with blurring any imperfections of the skin. And so her eyes are in nice sharp focus, which is perfect. But the rest of the skin looks really beautiful. I wanted him to be a little out of focus because I wanted it mainly to be on her. As my husband would say, the guy is the accessory in the photo, so that's kind of what we did there. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these stray hairs first. You can probably do this easier in Photoshop, but I'm just going to do it here in Lightroom and do it to how I did yesterday. So we're just going to do that. Make this one a little bit bigger. Sometimes you have to move these little guys around. Sometimes I wonder, like, what the heck? How the heck is that, working? Like, how does Lightroom determine what they choose from? Sometimes I wonder. For example, I'll be doing cloning, or excuse me, spot tool, and it will pick a pattern somewhere, like say the pattern of her dress, and we're editing her face. So sometimes I wonder, how it decides where to actually pick from. Because for the most part, Photoshop does a really great job when it comes to doing that. They definitely excel, and that is why I cannot just edit in Lightroom. I learned real quick that I also need to become confident when it comes to editing in Photoshop, because there are some things that you just cannot do in Lightroom. As hard as that is to do. So I always recommend, if you're new into photography and you're looking into, buying either Photoshop or Lightroom, I would definitely go with the Adobe CC plan, and that's $9.99 a month. And that is, you get both Lightroom and Photoshop. And this is why sometimes I don't like using the heal tool here, because you can't, in Photoshop you can, select any place you want, but I'm trying to get this little dot right here, and it's not letting me because I've already selected here and here. And so sometimes what you have to do is you have to draw into it, and that can sometimes be a pain in the butt. So I'm just gonna clean that up a little bit. And it's easier because on him, he's blurred into the bokeh anyway, so you can't tell really a big difference. I can still see that little patch right there with the eyebrow. This one. I could see that just a little bit. But like I said, I'm not too worried. He's pretty far away, so that's better than how it was with the hair. So okay, so we got rid of the hair. That took a couple minutes. Now we're going to retouch the skin, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of these tiny little dots. And this, again, I'm just using the heel. I've got my size 16, and I can increase or decrease the size of the brush using my roller pad on my mouse. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and start healing out these little tiny dots. Sometimes you'll look at the skin and you'll have to move your little dot around because like I said, it'll choose a spot where, oops, where you didn't want it to be. So I'll get rid of these. You can also pull this into Photoshop and do some frequency separation, but I'm not going to. I wanted this to be strictly Lightroom because some people just have Lightroom or they don't feel confident when it comes to editing in Photoshop. And Lightroom definitely is an easier tool. This is how I learned to edit. I actually had Photoshop Elements years ago, and then back in 2014, I really wanted to get serious about editing, so I asked my husband if he would be okay if I bought Lightroom, and he said yes. And at the time, I saw that there was a deal going on with the Adobe CC, and so I just purchased that. And then I never used Photoshop, only for things that I knew how to do, because I had learned when I was doing my associate's degree how to do the simple stuff like dodge and burn and all that stuff. So it was pretty fun. And then I just watched tons of tutorials, guys. That I would have to say I am 99.9% self-taught. I could watch YouTube videos all day on how to edit. All day. And I still do sometimes. I've gotten a little bit better, and now I'm repaying the favor to the people that, are having trouble learning, and it's the stuff that we kind of, take for granted, that we know how to do it now. And so I just want to be able to kind of help people the way that I was helped, because it truly, truly made a difference when I could, go onto YouTube and find a tutorial that really helped me out. So, okay, so we did the skin healing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my brush tools, and I have the Visco Pack 6, and so all these tool brushes come into the toolbar. You get these ones before the line. Those come standard here in Lightroom, but if you have the Visco presets, these come in it as well. But guys, it's super simple. Let's see, I think I picked the Skin Smooth right there. And so literally all you have to do is, if you want to screenshot this, if you want a Skin Smooth semi-skin, you're just going to reduce the noise. You're going to decrease sharpness, decrease clarity, and then pretty much that's it. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to smooth all this out. Because sometimes the Visco, or excuse me, LXC does put a little bit, it does make the skin look a little not as soft as it was. So I'm going to add some of that softness back in. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my little square, and we're just going to start. I'm not going to worry about this hair because it doesn't bother me. I feel like it keeps it more organic. I don't want it to be absolutely perfect, because then I think when you start to become too quote-unquote perfect in your photos, it loses the emotion that is captured in it. I did remove that other one because it was, it was bothering me because it was sticking it. You could see in front of his head, so that's why I got rid of it. But this one is just, just hanging out. So we're going to do that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show my selected mask, and we're just going to start painting. Try to avoid anything that has any harsh lines. Don't put this over the eyebrows. You can put it under the eyebrows, but we don't want to cover up any lines or anything like that because it will blur them. We're just gonna go. Seriously, her eyebrows were so amazing. I've had so many people asking me if I could ask her if they can show her, if she can show them how she did her eyebrows. So, because I don't know if hers are, I don't think hers are tattooed on like mine, but if you guys want eyebrows like that and you don't want to spend time doing them every morning, seriously, go get your eyebrows microbladed, because it is the best money I've ever spent. That and laser hair removal. Because it is incredible. So just get rid of some of these little pores. Just really kind of smooth those out. Probably gonna see how well this smooths, and then we'll see if I'm gonna get rid of those little. I always hate these little pores on my nose. They are seriously the worst. This stuff does a really good job of smoothing the skin, for sure. Sometimes it can go a little overboard, but for the most part, it does a really great job. And I can still see with that smoothing, it's going to bring up a little more imperfections, which is great because now I can get rid of them. The skin is all one even texture. And I can still see some pores right there. Oops. That's going overboard. So I'm going to Command Z that. I'm going to open up the action that I had before for the skin, right there. And yeah, okay. So especially with this, as you can see, when I was super close up, I couldn't see all the places I was missing. But now that I'm far away and back, I'm able to see, you know, exactly the spots that I was not hitting correctly. There. Much better. And I think I did one more thing with the skin. I'm going to throw on the softened skin, and that is just decreasing the clarity and bumping up the sharpness. So again, just go over everything. Trying not to get over the eyebrows or any of the eyes. This just really does help smooth the skin out, creating a really nice texture. And who doesn't want to have nice skin when they take their photos, you know what I mean? I appreciate people when because we all have skin issues that we don't, you know, particularly love. And so when you get your photos, I like having, you know, my skin looking at its best. There, that's better. So that right there is just using the smooth skin and the thing. You can see right here that that's a little, I'm not loving that particularly. but it's not bothering me too much. Fade this in just a little bit. Oh, you know what? I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go here, here. I'm going to decrease the density on this and just hit this nose area just a little bit. I'm going to use tiny, teeny little healing. Some of these I can tell I'm not loving. My dog has come to visit me. I feel so bad. I've been so busy. She probably thinks I'm abandoning her. Okay. There's that little patch right there that I can see, and I think that is what's bothering me, is I can see a little patch, and I don't want to see that little patch. I want it gone. So that's where it's going. And you could easily just bring this into Photoshop. But like I said before, I was wanting this to be more of a Lightroom tutorial, so kind of move where the texture is the same. And then see what I mean? Where Lightroom just decides, I'm gonna pick somewhere where, you know, has no correlation with this whatsoever. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dodge and burn. So again, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to pick the Dodge Plus, and I'm just going to hit the high points and the areas where there are highlights. So that being the forehead, cheeks, down the bridge of the nose, the eyes, the top of the lip, the Cupid's bow, the lips, and then some of these kind of shadows, or excuse me, where there's some highlights on his shirt. So do that. Eye, down the bridge of the nose, lip. Just create that fullness right there. Here, under the eyebrow again. And dodging and burning, I have found, has made an incredible difference. Because sometimes you don't even need to retouch the whole face. You can really just retouch using dodge and burn. And Just a little bit, little highlights up here where they're kind of peeking through. Right here, there, and right there. Okay, now we're going to burn. Burn. So again, if you don't have the preset, it's just decrease your exposure by 75. Come around the perimeters of the face, contours of the cheek, under the chin, jawline, underneath the bottom of the lip, between the lip, dodge right underneath the nose. I usually do the crease of the eye, underneath the eye, and the eyelashes. I'll do the brows just to kind of fill them in just a little bit. The outer rim of the iris. Just like that. Add a little dimension in the hair. She's got a ton of dimension, which is incredible. Her hair is some of the coolest hair I've ever seen. I absolutely love it. It's very cool. Dodge some of these highlights in her hair. Bring those forth. Get those to stand out. Do that. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a vignette. And that is what really brings it together, has that kind of dark tone that I love seeing. Right there. I want to do a couple more things. I think for the most part, that is how I edited that. Let's do split toning. I did pull this into Photoshop to do a little color balancing, but I wasn't too big of a fan of it. So I'm going to throw some cyan in the highlights and then leave the reds in just a bit. And it doesn't need to be anything too crazy. So, okay. But that is it, guys. Just a little before and after. It didn't take very much. There's not tons of editing that needs to be done. She has amazing skin, but I want to have it cleaned up just a little bit. And that's using the LXC 03 preset. And it's, you know, probably one of my favorites, if not all-time favorite preset I've ever used. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you guys for the next tutorial. See you guys later.